Hey everyone, welcome back to Becoming a Therapist. Today I have with me Julie Beck. She's an AMFT. Julie, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes. So I want to just kind of open the floor. I want to hear about your personal therapist origin story. I'm sure it's a lot, but listeners really get a lot of value from hearing, okay, how did you get your start? How did this all work out for you? So wherever seems natural to start, I just want to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I am an AMFT. So for anyone who doesn't know what that means, so that's an associate marriage and family therapist um, in California. And what associate means, and maybe your listeners know this, but it's like the time period of getting your hours towards licensure. So we have 3,000 hours, and um, and then after that we do become what's the licensed, so LMFT. And so what's really exciting, actually, so this is like perfect timing that we're talking. Today is actually the day that I am getting my 3,000 hours. Um,
I
yeah,
love
so
that.
I know. So I did not expect that. It's been so long. So it's been about 3 years. So it takes a while, as you probably know. Um, so yeah, getting all my forms signed today, getting all the paperwork in, which I can talk about that process if maybe you might have some questions, or people might have questions about that, since I'm in it right now. Um, okay, so yeah, that's exciting. Um, so my origin story. Interestingly enough, this is kind of a fun fact. I do come from a family of a lot of therapists.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Actually, specifically psychiatrists. So my mom's a psychiatrist. My three aunts and uncles are psychiatrists. Actually, one's a social
Whoa.
worker. So one is a social worker. And then my grandma and my grandpa were psychiatrists.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a psychiatrist, but it's, same kind of like world.
Yeah,
Similar world. I just didn't want to go to med school.
fair.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So it kind of does run in my DNA, I think. And I didn't think I'd be following like the family lineage as much, but here I am. I just really enjoy it. And I obviously grew up talking about that kind of stuff and talking about therapy and talking about mental health and things like that. So that was cool. Like it was always like a very open conversation in my family. Um, and then I always knew I wanted to like help people, and I always knew I wanted to do something in that space. I actually went to school thinking I was going to do public health. So I thought I was going to do like a master's in public health and kind of work in social services or like work in research. Um, and then I did work in research. I did work at UCSF, so University of California, San Francisco, which is like a big research hospital here, and I live in San Francisco. And I did that for like 6 years, but then I just realized that it just didn't have that like, just didn't feel like that personal touch with it. It was just people were numbers and people were just becoming statistics. Um, and I just didn't feel like it like encapsulated like the human experience. Like we had to measure stress based on like 10 questions, or like measure depression based on like 9 questions. And I was like, how do you like get that person's experience based on this, and then you get a number, and then they are a number, which I totally get. There's obviously a time and a place for that, and research is really important, and I'm definitely all about research. It just, yeah, for me it just didn't seem to like match with like the experience that I wanted to have, and I wanted to like get to know people and get to know like what they were about, what caused what led to depression, what their experience was, and I just didn't feel like I was getting much of that. So anyway, that's what led me to grad school for marriage and family therapy, and then I did that actually during the pandemic, during COVID. So it's all
Wow.
virtual. Yeah, it was like a totally. It was supposed to be in person, but it was like a totally virtual experience. Um, and it's kind of one of those things that was like one of those. I think a lot of people experienced this during the pandemic, where they were just like, "What do I want to do with my life?" and rethinking things. So I was also going through that, and yeah, I think a lot of people
Yeah,
can relate. Doing a little
right.
switch, a little career switch. Um, but I'm really glad I did. I couldn't be more happy that I did that. Obviously, it's now 2025 at the end. So this has been 5 years of like going to grad school, doing my traineeship, doing, getting all my hours. So I'm happy to talk more about that process too, but it obviously has been a long journey since then. And I'm wrapping up and I still have a little bit more of a ways to go and everything. But yeah, definitely happy I did this and it's been really fun.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something important. Like it's a long road. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of internships are not paid. A lot of associates don't really have as
Mm-hmm.
many career opportunities. So what do you feel like the hardest part is in becoming a therapist, or maybe the hardest chapter?
It's a hard journey.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of it's hard, and that's fine. Like we can do these hard things, and I think that's totally possible. Um, I think it's I think I just want to be realistic with people. Like I think a part of me, I don't know, maybe in ways it was good. I didn't know how hard it would be, but I think a part of me like wishes I also did know. Um, because it's hard, and I did have a lot of hardships in the experience and in the journey, and it still was all worth it, and I'm definitely still glad I did. But I think in a way it would have been nice to just know like, oh, this is gonna be hard, and that's okay. The hardest, I think like I think the part that you said, I mean, just like logistically, just being an unpaid intern for so long, um, it's just hard and it does, there's privilege associated with it, obviously. So I'm very grateful for that. But I did work part-time, so I did continue working at UCSF part-time while I was in school just because like I had to make money and that was just important for me at that time. So I think that was actually honestly the hardest thing was like balancing my life of like being in grad school and not quite having that like therapist identity yet, but still being in that in between phase where I was like still working part time and having to like just balance those things. I don't know if I would have done that. Honestly, I think it would have just been if I didn't need the money, which I could have taken more loans, I could have figured it out. I think I just encourage people to think about, what their priorities are because you can there are ways to do it. There are ways to get loans, and that's fine. Or there are also ways to work part time. It's just both ways have different challenges associated with it. And I think working part time was really hard on me, and I was already burnt out, and I hadn't even like gotten into the field really yet. I was like my first year in, and I was already immediately burnt out. So I think that was personally the hardest part.
Yeah, that would be so tough.
Yeah.
Having to balance that because I don't know, I mean, they drill into us in our grad school programs of like self-care and counselor
Mm-hmm.
burnout and all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but also like the system is not really set up to
Yeah.
protect us from burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's only so much self care you can do
Yeah.
sometimes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it would have been nice to like have a little bit more support from my traineeship or from, you know, I guess just like financially, but obviously it's a hard journey and I just again, I want people to just know that it is hard and like if the sacrifices are worth it and if they think that that's what they want to prioritize, that's what they want to do, it's definitely worth it, but I just wish I maybe had an idea of like how hard it would be.
Yeah, yeah. So another thing I'm really curious about your perspective on. So I'm an LPC in Kansas. That's provisional for a clinical mental health counselor. So a lot of my audience are also doing the clinical mental health counseling route. But you're marriage and family therapy. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of curious what drew you to that discipline specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
if you had a do-over, knowing everything you know now, what would you choose if you had a do-over?
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, so like I said, I'm in California, and
Yeah,
I think, again, you kind of like, it takes time for people to kind of like learn this, and sometimes we're not really like taught, okay, what is the difference? Like, I'm still honestly not really
yeah.
super clear what the difference is, um, you know, between like so the track options for me were like MFT or like LPCC. Obviously, there was social work too. Um,
Yeah.
So I think I'm really glad I did MFT, and I don't regret it, and I don't think I would have changed it in California. But I know it does change depending on the states. Like in California, MFT is the most common, like master's level way of like becoming a therapist. Um, Probably, I would say that I don't know if it's easier, but like the PsyD programs, the PhD programs, I thought about those, but they're just really, really long journeys, about 5 or 6 years. So I didn't want to do that. I think I just wanted to like
Hmm.
start doing the work sooner rather than later. So yeah, I don't really have any
Yeah.
regrets about it. I do think at the end of the day, you can really do very similar things with most of your degrees. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
say with the clinical mental health counseling track, we definitely had zero training in working with couples. I
Mm,
got all of that at my internship. And
mm,
so, I mean, there's that. And then there's LPCs
right.
that like literally just work with couples. That would require so much more training outside. Like, I don't think we're competent in working with couples like the way that it
Oh,
is.
interesting.
But
Yeah.
besides that, I feel like it's the same because MFTs
Yeah.
are adequately trained to work with kids, to work with
Hmm.
individuals, to work with all sorts of crisis situations, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Which is interesting because I don't do couples,
Yeah?
even though, and I like do a little bit of family, but not a ton, which is interesting because
Yeah.
it's like marriage and family therapist. So people assume that's what
Right.
I do. I do
Yeah.
think, yeah, I do think at the end of the day you can really do, especially like having to choose is really hard. So for people that are choosing, I would just let them know like it's okay. They can do a lot of different things with any really of these paths. It may take different like trainings or different kind of like ways of going about it. And there's like a couple differences. I don't even think I need to get into like I'm not going to do like an autism diagnosis or evaluation or like assessment, but most of the time I feel like do what any other mental health professional does. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think it just depends on like the state and it depends on like what people really are looking for. Like social work does have like is going to have like a little bit of a different curriculum too, based on like social justice and sociology and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I really think most people can do the same thing, and you learn so much in your training. And I train under like I have a social worker there, supervisor. I have another one who's a PsyD. Like I train under them, so I can learn a lot from them too.
Yeah, I love that answer because I feel like it takes the weight off
Yeah,
of the pre-grad student phase where you just got to find the perfect thing, and it's a huge investment and it feels like a lot is riding on it.
yeah,
And so you're not trapping yourself in this box just because your area only offers an MFT program or a clinical counseling
yeah.
program or whatever.
I think so. Like that's I really think yeah. If there's like pressure on that, I would just encourage people to take that pressure off a little bit because you can really do a lot of different things. And yeah, at the end of the day, you can figure it out and find what you're
Yeah,
interested in. Yeah.
for sure. So I want to switch gears. I'm curious, what modalities were you super into in grad school, and
Hmm.
what's your theoretical orientation today as a therapist?
Yeah, that's a good question because it does change, doesn't it? I feel like for most
Oh
people,
yeah.
yeah. I didn't feel like I learned a ton of the modality. We had like a 1 week. Like 1 week was 1 2 hour class on each modality. So it was like one class on CBT, 1 2 hour class on DBT, 1 2 hour class on psychodynamic. Like that's not enough to learn about all the complexities of each theory. um, so I didn't feel like I honestly learned a ton in grad school, which is fine. I learned a lot more in my training and my supervision and all of that. But I would say my grad school is probably more. It was probably more like CBT, like DBT focused. I would
Okay.
say, yeah, kind of like just the more like evidence based type of therapies,
Yeah.
which was fine. Like I think it makes a lot of sense when you're learning about it. Like it makes a ton of sense. But for me personally, this is just my personal experience. I don't know what your actually, yeah, what your orientation is or whatever, but personally, I've found it hard to like apply CBT and DBT and see it like really work.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. So
Okay.
I'm kind of an act purist because it
Okay.
just feels more emotionally validating.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yes.
I get that. Yeah. And I feel like
Yeah.
with MFT, there's also a lot of like IFS kind of stuff. And that is
Yeah.
so important for people to work through just like the
Yeah.
deeper layers of the trauma. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is exactly what I am doing is
Oh,
IFS now,
yes.
because it just felt hard for it to see progress. Like, just
Yeah.
reframe your not. I mean, CBT is so much more complex than like just reframe your thoughts, but it just didn't seem like it wasn't. It's not validating their experience. It's not validating that
Mm-hmm.
there's like a reason why people have these thoughts or a reason why we have anxiety or all these other behaviors. Um, and it's kind of teaching people that, well, just don't have the thought or just don't have the feeling, like, and like you said
Yeah.
about the validation. So I just, and I still like DBT. Like, there's still so much about DBT that I still use. I mean, DBT is big on validation.
Yeah.
um and okay, so then I learned about, it wasn't until after grad school that I did learn about IFS, which is
Mm.
obviously internal family systems. I wonder how much your audience knows about it, but in a nutshell, it's like this idea that we all have parts of us, kind of like Inside Out, like the movie
Yes.
Inside Out. We all have different parts of us, and each part of us is like a, well, there's these protective parts. So like each part serves a purpose, and each part is like valid and important, and we want to like get to know our parts, and we want to befriend our parts, and that is like it's just a very like non-pathologizing or like non-labeling way, I think, of like treating someone, rather than being like, you have depression, that's bad, let's
Yeah.
fix it, you know.
Yeah.
So I just, and I didn't learn about IFS one time, never heard about it once in all of my years of like grad school. And then my, honestly, even training, I found it on my own. Like, I actually heard it through a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I read the book, No Bad Parts. And then I was like, wow, this is amazing. This just clicked. And
yeah.
then, and I still never heard about it through, again, any of my trainings, which is like kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
So then that's the one that I, and again, still like a little bit more integrative, but I just feel like that's the one that works. And when you find something and you see it work, it's like changes everything, because you're like, oh, this actually works. And I couldn't really see the same thing with like CBT or DBT as much. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. Okay, so you found your path. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So what populations do you work with? And I mean, is there any population that you've found that you've just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
fallen in love with along the way?
Yeah. I think the young adult population, so like Gen Z, basically, like 20s, 30s, which I'm also in my 30s, so it's kind of like right around my age, maybe like a little bit younger. I really do think that's like the perfect time to go to therapy, and it's like so fun to work with because they're both like, they haven't gotten super stuck in those ways for years and years and years, which is, again, that's fine. It's never too late at all. But I just find that they're so fun to work with because they're like, the childhood was pretty recent, so it's not like it's been a long time. They have those memories, but they haven't gotten like, yeah, like I said, super stuck in the patterns. And they're like, I think it's just the generation, um, and teens too, like later teens
Yeah.
as well, like 18, 19. Like, they're just so like down for therapy. Like, I love it. They're so willing. They're
Yeah.
just willing to show up. There's like really like there's a little stigma, but they're not really like working. That's not a big part of it usually, of like working through like, oh my God, I'm in therapy. Does this mean I'm, the stigma around it? I don't know. So I just find it so fun to work with them. Not that like I still work with older adults too, and like they're also lovely and great. But I don't know, something just feels so magical about that age range. So that's like the age, and then you probably, since I do identify as a woman, I like working with like young women as well, and the like specific things that they're going through um, is something like I think a lot of therapists like have been through something and like to kind of go work with similar populations of what they've been through. Um, so the population that I really have really started to love, just in the past year, I've just found a lot of clients who are struggling with chronic illness, or who are caregivers of people who struggle with chronic illness, and I can relate to that because I've been both. I've struggled with chronic illness. I had all these like kind of like mystery symptoms for like 10 years of my life. Couldn't figure it out. Turns out, well, it was even before this, but it really got worse and like culminated to the point where I was really sick, actually during my traineeship. So this is the time that I was like really burnt out with work, really burnt out with traineeship. I was also in school at the same time, and I was working in a place that had black mold, and so I was like breathing it in every day. And unfortunately, everyone else there was too. But I just felt really horrible. So I've dealt with that. I've dealt with like chronic illness, and then also around that time, my mom had chronic illness and had Lyme.
Mm.
So I was a caregiver for her as well. And yeah, I mean, it's been about like 3 years now since that happened, but I've really grown from that experience. In a way, I'm glad I went through it because now I'm helping those similar people who are struggling with similar things. And yeah, so I feel like it's really rewarding and something I've been through, something I feel like I can help others with. And it's something that's so common. And I do think there's a lot, I think, that can be done with just therapy and like working on um, like the psychology aspect of it, along with like obviously healthcare and medicine and all that stuff. But I'm doing what I feel like I can do. And I really do think that there's a lot that can be done just with like therapy in that sense. Because I mean, yeah, I'm happy to talk more about it, but like obviously there's such a strong connection between the mind and the body. Like they're the same, they're one and the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Julie, thanks for sharing all of that. Like that's such a transformative experience, and that's pretty heavy. Like, but it does make sense that that would help you have more insight into that population specifically. I feel like a lot of us, like you said, like are very inspired by specific things that we've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all of that, how do you manage countertransference?
Yeah. That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Luckily, I have supervisors now. I won't for too much longer, but so I do see my supervisors. I have three right now. So I see three once a week, so 3 hours a week, which is pretty good. I do have my own therapist who I started seeing around this time when this first started happening. Um, and I talked to luckily my mom's a therapist.
Yeah.
Thank goodness my mom's a therapist, so I call her. I'm like, Mom. Um, so I do have support, is what I'm saying. I have support, and um, I definitely have my own practices, and like I'm not perfect. No one is, and that's fine. But I just have my own like journaling practices, self care, all that stuff, support um, that I think really really helps. And yeah, I think that's like very necessary in this
Oh,
field.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is so crucial because a lot of our work is very isolating. Like, yes, we are working with
Hmm.
somebody, but that's a relationship that's never going to be reciprocal. Like, we are pouring out. And so it does kind of get draining. Like, you can't just count like how much time you have with people. I mean, it's work. We're giving. And so
Hmm.
that's really important to have people pouring into you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some like platforms, tools, EHR systems, I don't know, note-taking things, schedulers, like any sort of resources for people who are eventually going into private practice that
Hmm.
you've found helpful that you would recommend,
Hmm.
or anything that, maybe people should go check out?
Okay. Okay, so I love Canva. You know Canva?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Canva. That's like the best thing that I've found, which is it's just so helpful. I got the like paid version too. I feel like it's worth it because there's
Okay.
so much.
Good to know.
Yeah, there's so much that, especially in private practice, which I am in a part time private practice. There's so much. Oh my gosh, like don't even get me started. Like there's the therapy part of it, obviously, and then there's the marketing part of it.
Yep.
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 So I feel like the Canva really helps me like create flyers, create oh yeah, I have like a social media page, create like posts for that look really cool and pretty. Um and oh and for therapy too, like I'll make up a little bit of a like handout of like something and then share it with like parents or share it with, people like clients that I see, just make it like kind of cool and pretty. Like some of the, handouts you see online are kind of boring, so I'll make it all pretty. So I would say that's a really
Yeah.
good one. For EHR, I've used I'm using Simple Practice, and it's fine. I don't know. Is that do you use that one too? I feel like that one's it's fine. I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it does the job.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was trained in my internship, so that's what I
Hmm.
use now. So I just like I didn't want to have to learn another thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that swear by therapy notes, and there's like just so many like sponsorships and whatever that they
Yeah.
have. And then there's the other one like Jane or whatever that
Hmm.
I feel like I see a lot of their affiliates and people promoting it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it also makes me wonder, like, okay, how much is this because you're an affiliate? How much is
I
this?
know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets like really complicated, and so I don't know.
I know. You gotta like take those things, I think, with sometimes a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know if you use like their video platform.
Yes.
Um, it's not the best.
Yeah, that's true. I don't
I
know anything
I
else,
think
but yeah.
I think I would probably recommend I don't follow my own advice, but I would give the advice to probably use Zoom. Obviously like
Mhm.
the HIPAA version and everything.
Yes.
But I do find Zoom to be a little bit better. I just haven't taken that leap yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know. So, what about like CEUs and training and professional
Mhm.
development resources? What have you found helpful? And, you don't have to bash anything, but if there's something that you're like, maybe you could, you know, DIY something, or if there's a
Yeah.
cheaper alternative or something. I feel like
Hmm.
there's a lot of cash grabs out there. So, I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I wonder what your experience is, but I feel like I do use Pessy, although I think there's
Okay.
also some like things there that maybe some people don't find ideal, but I found it to be pretty good. I've done like a DBT training, I've done an IFS training. Um, there's always like good old fashioned like free stuff that if you have time, which I think the good thing about like these trainings that they like condense it and they're like, here are the things that you need to know versus
Yeah.
sometimes like finding your own resources or finding your own podcasts or books can be a little bit like more work, but it's free. So I do
Yeah.
that. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of books, podcasts. I'm always listening to podcasts about all kinds of things, even fun like pop culture stuff or like sometimes therapy stuff. Um, oh, and I did sign up for the so there's an IFS like official training. There's like IFS inspired trainings, but there's like one official training. So I'm doing the IFS level 1 training. I haven't started it yet. It's going to be next year, but I'll let you know how it goes. I haven't done it yet,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be good and like very comprehensive.
Okay. That's good to know because IFS certification is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Especially as an associate.
they do have scholarships, luckily.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think I mean, I'm still figuring it out of, the marketing of it all, but I did get some advice from like an older and wiser therapist that and I wonder if this is your experience too, but like you do have to spend some money to make some money. So
Fair.
that was the advice I was given. And so I think I'm hoping that it'll be worth it. Um, in terms of like getting referrals and everything. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, what's been the most surprising part of becoming a therapist? I know you have family in the field, so like you
Hmm.
kind of saw a lot of it coming, but is there a challenge that kind of like caught you off guard?
Mm. I think I could not have seen this coming because I think no one could have seen where the world was going. But obviously, a lot of things
Yeah.
have been crazy lately, like whether it's AI, chat bots, chat GPT.
Yeah.
there's a lot of that stuff going on that, of course, like none of us could have ever seen coming. And I try not to be too scared about it. I try to be hopeful about it. Um, but yeah, like I never would have thought this would happen to me. But of course, like I'm sure it's happening to a lot of therapists where like I have now clients that are like, I've used ChatGPT for therapy and I don't even know if I need therapy anymore. So
Whoa.
that was a shock. Um, that happened to me recently. And yeah, we ended up taking, a break from therapy because of that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
they have autonomy, they can do what they want to
Yeah,
do,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I always thought we were going to have the job security because you can't
I
really replace
know.
human connection.
I still think so. I still
Yeah.
hope and think so. And yeah, I won't go into that specific one, but there's
Okay.
obviously other things going on, other reasons that people have, and that's fine. I respect that. Yeah, I still think that I'm still hopeful that there's like something very important about human connection and all that. But of course, like who could have seen that coming? The
Yeah.
AI stuff, the chat GPT stuff. Um, Obviously, now with telehealth, like now with these like VC backed, you know, BetterHelp, that kind of stuff, like it's great because it's increasing so much access. And at the same time, it is also making it a lot harder for therapists in private practice. Um, and yeah, I have definitely, it's definitely like a mixed bag, and I think it's just making it a lot harder for therapists.
Yeah, I get so many clients because they've had a bad experience on
Yeah,
BetterHelp.
yeah,
And so it's like that gives them a picture of like what therapy is going to be like. And so it's
yeah.
like we almost have to rewrite a first impression
I
that like
know.
we didn't create in a weird way.
It's too bad. Yeah,
And yeah, there's so much that I could do. I feel like people do not actually name the companies, so like who knows if this is going to get me suppressed in the algorithm? I don't know. But
yeah.
therapists deserve
Oops.
to be paid well.
Yeah,
I'll just stop there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yes, and people deserve to have good quality care and good quality therapists. And I
Yes.
think those two do go hand in hand. And of course, I'm all for accessibility. And like, I think there's a way that like could all, join together. I think there's ways. I just hope that those do come together. And I guess we'll see. But there's just
Yeah.
so many things in the field that are changing right now, and no one could have seen any of these things coming.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like people are very quick to bash insurance companies, but it's like at least better than the big tech companies that don't even relate to healthcare at all and
Yeah.
they don't have it. So, and then AI notes, like that's a whole
Mm-hmm.
other can of worms that I've seen recently. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I have very clearly said, in some situations, like I will never use AI notes. I will never use AI to write my notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me personally, like
I'm
not bashing
I'm
other
curious.
people's decision.
What are your reasons for that? Do you mind sharing?
I feel like I don't know. It feels a little lazy. I feel like I use more clinical language than the AI.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the AI note to say like, "Hey, she broke up with her boyfriend." I'm gonna say, client talked about interpersonal conflicts. Like I use
Mm-hmm.
protective documentation like
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that's just because of like some of the populations that I work with. Um, but like also, I'm not judgmental of people who make different decisions. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be forced to make that decision. So I'm curious, do you have thoughts on that? I'm
I
kind of
don't
putting
have
you on
any
the spot
thought.
here.
Yeah, no, I don't have like
Okay.
no thoughts. I'm just really curious about people's experiences. I don't. I would be interested to try it though, just to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Because I know that they come up with something and then you can kind of edit it or like put what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I would be very
Yeah.
curious. I haven't like made the leap at all, or like I'm not anywhere really close to considering it. But I'm very curious about it. I'm like, I wonder. I just wonder like what they would say. I just don't know.
I see. I feel like yeah, that's a good way to go about it. Of just that curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I get where you're coming from too.
For sure. Well, thanks. Yeah, and there's no judgment. Like we're all trying to navigate
Yeah, we're
it,
all
and
trying our best out there.
it's it's rough. It's
Yeah.
rough. So I'm curious, what beliefs or assumptions did you have to unlearn about therapy, especially with like all of your prior exposure?
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Like there's probably a lot of, I think, assumptions people make when I say that I come from a family of psychiatrists.
Yeah.
um, I don't what I'm trying to think like what I do feel comfortable going into, but I'll just say that there's certain things about psychiatrists that do think differently than therapists.
Okay.
So I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's valid.
yeah,
There's,
they
yeah,
think very
different,
differently,
yeah, that's fine. I mean,
and
people are at different places with the medical model, you know?
yeah, so it's and my mom is totally different. My mom is like I love my mom so much. She's like my idol, my role model. Love her.
Yeah.
She's thinks she's super open minded, like so open minded. Like I love it. She's like really into like integrative and holistic things and like all kinds of different like types of therapies and like I told her about IFS and she started like practicing it. She's like, oh, what's this? So she's really open minded.
Yeah.
Versus the other people in my family aren't so open minded, which is fine. They come from a different generation.
Hmm.
They were trained in certain ways, you know, trained to see things as very like medical and like here's a diagnosis, here's the medicine, you know. Um, so that's obviously not the way. I mean, I'm a therapist, I'm not going to give medications, but I just don't see things in like as a diagnostic label. And that's
Mm.
why IFS has really, really, really resonated with me, and so many of my clients just like really resonate with them because it just sees things as so, like I said, like with so much compassion and just without not a label. And there's certain things that do benefit from labels, like that's fine. People do benefit from that sometimes, but I just like to see things as like much more like integrative and holistically than just like this is the label, this is what you need to do. So I think that's where like my mindset has shifted just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's more nuanced, seeing people as people. So what does success mean to you in this career, and how has that definition kind of evolved?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think again, you can probably tell I'm like very inspired by my mom.
Yes.
And my again, just my personal view of what I am looking for is just having like sounds so cliche, but like a work-life balance. That's just what's important
Yeah.
to me. And, you know, other people like in my family, like my sister, like she's all about work and that's great for her. But for me, I like just really, really value like just the balance of the two. And I think it's really possible. It's not always possible, but I think it's really possible in our field, which is part of the reason why I did it. And my mom was, she was a part-time, you know, psychiatrist and then a part-time or full-time mom, I guess. So
Yeah.
she was always around, which I really appreciated. So I do see that as success for me, just being able to like work and do what I love, um, make my own hours, you know, see client, like be my own boss, you know, just
Yeah.
have freedom. Like that matters so much to me. And just freedom of time and freedom of what I do. I just love that part of it. It's just so yeah, it's the best. So that is success to me is to have freedom. I do want to have kids one day. I'm married, but we're hoping to do that soon. And yeah, I think just like having like a well-rounded full life is to me what success is.
Yeah. I love that, that it's like work supports our personal life
Mhm.
and work like funds our personal life.
Mhm.
You know, we're not living to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So what is something about becoming a therapist that you wish more people talked about openly and honestly?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question. I think this conversation, okay, two things.
Okay.
The conversation I think is opening up more. I'm seeing it more. Maybe it's just because I am a therapist. I think we just talk about it more. But it is just like the honestly just the grueling path. It's grueling in some ways.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think maybe some people are aware of that, maybe some people aren't, and it's definitely worth it, I think, but it's been really hard. Again, just I don't think trainees and people in their training, I don't think are treated very well always.
Yeah.
And so that's hard. I wish more people like knew that, especially before becoming a therapist. But again,
Hmm.
it's all worth it. And then the other thing is just like, and again, this is becoming more common, but just like allowing therapists to be people, and like we do have our own struggles, and like that's why I'm open about like, and I am open with, when appropriate, obviously with clients, like that I have struggled with some similar things as them, chronic illness and stuff like that. So I think just like allowing us to be people, allowing us to have like struggles too, and like normalizing that, and we're people, and we're also working on ourselves, and I think that's a good thing. Like I don't think we
Hmm.
have to be perfect. I think maybe that used to kind of be more of like the case, like more of a blank slate, but I'm hoping that people can just see therapists more as like people, and very, very multidimensional, and I might act like a therapist, or what you think a therapist should act like. But when I'm with my friends, I'm just gonna be me. I'm not gonna be like the person that is like acts like a therapist all the time. And we can just be multidimensional. And I just hope maybe this podcast will help people see that. And I just hope that that's more of like a conversation.
I love that. I absolutely love that because yeah, I feel like a lot of people, especially early on in the grad school experience, kind of like carry that therapist identity into all
Mm-hmm.
areas of their life, and it's like, no, I'm fine. I just made a joke. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to relate to you as a colleague. And
yeah.
so that is all super fair. So are there any books, podcasts, or like other resources that really helped you on your path that you would recommend? I know you mentioned No Bad Parts.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, so many. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, No Bad Parts. Loved that book. Um, okay, there's another book that really, really like changed a lot for me and changed how I saw things. It's called Mind Your Body by Nicole Sachs. And so that one's about someone who's struggling. Nicole Sachs she's a social worker. She struggled with chronic illness and chronic pain. Um, and then long story short, she kind of healed her chronic pain, even though doctors were
Mm.
telling her this cannot be healed. This is lifelong, terminal. Um, she healed it, and she did it through um, like obviously like a lot of therapy and work, and medical, not to like dismiss like the medical things that she did do that probably
Yeah.
helped. Um, but it's called Journal Speaks. So it's 20 minutes a day. Have you heard of this? 20 minutes a day of just
No.
journaling and like free writing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, I've done it a few times. I'm not like doing it every day, but it's a really interesting concept. So I'd really recommend that book. It talks all about like the mind body experience, how emotions can become suppressed, and how suppressed emotions can show up as pain, and show up as like chronic pain or chronic illness or autoimmune, all these things. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much more that goes into it. So I recommend that book. She also has a podcast. um,
Nice.
what else? I mean, so many books. I love reading. The book that made me want to become a therapist, you've probably heard of this book. Maybe you should talk to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that actually made me be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do this. I think I'm gonna become a
Yeah.
therapist.
Oh,
That was a good
that's
one.
fun. Such a
Oh, so
classic.
yeah, so many. Um, I would say those are like some of the books off the top of my head. Um, Podcasts. I really like It's Well by Ariel Laurie. She's a recovering addict or recovering alcoholic in recovery. So she talks a lot about that and her experience. So that's really inspiring to me and a lot of people. And then the Liz Moody podcast is another good one that has a lot
Okay.
of like good. Have you heard of that one?
No.
Okay, yeah, it's like got a lot of good like. That's actually the one where I learned about IFS for the first time. She had Richard Schwartz on.
Okay.
So yeah, that's got a lot of like really good mental health tips and
Okay.
really good guests and stuff. Yeah, but I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. So those are my favorites.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I'm trying to rack up those indirect hours, so
Yeah.
that's my car ride.
Yeah, those are some good
So
ones.
Yo, yeah, yeah. So what's next for you in your work?
Yeah, good questions. Like I said, just getting my hours all together.
Yeah,
I have like right
yeah.
behind me like a big stack of paperwork to put together for the to send to get my license. So I'll be working on that, and then for people that don't know the process, so I send it in and then I wait about 4 months, and then when they have completed all my paperwork, then I take the licensing exam, and then I'll be licensed. So that's the process. So that's what's next for me, and then hopefully after that, I'll just continue with my private practice. Um, I'll still just be doing that, kind of just seeing the same clients, building that private practice. Maybe I'm thinking about also like joining maybe a group practice or kind of just like seeing how that goes, seeing how the private practice route goes, maybe seeing how the group do a little bit of both. So that's what I'm thinking. Are you in private practice? Do you do like that full time or what are you doing?
Yeah, so basically full time, I mean, working up to full time.
Mhm.
I got my license actually August 4th, so almost a couple months ago.
Oh, yay,
So I'm like
congrats.
real new, but yeah, I'm able to be self-employed as
Mhm.
an associate license in Kansas. So it's been really chill. I have been so desperate to be my own boss for so long, and so it's
Yeah,
working out well
that's
so
great.
far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, Julie, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about you and follow your
Mhm.
work and everything?
Yeah, okay. So my website is juliebeckTherapy.org. And then I do have a brand new Instagram account that I'm still pretty new into, but I'm really enjoying just posting some like some fun stuff, posting some educational stuff, just like tips and tricks for like mental health. So that one is Julie Beck Therapy um, as well on Instagram. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, awesome. And for all of my listeners, I have Julie's stuff like in the caption below her picture, and then I will copy everything in the show notes as well. So all of this stuff where you can go follow her and check out her work. That should be super accessible by the time this video is up. So, Julie, thank you so much for being here today. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to tell my listeners?
Oh, I think we covered a lot. But this was
Yeah,
fun. I really enjoyed being on your podcast, and yeah, I can't wait
thank
till it comes
you.
out.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and tips and tricks and just like hearing your perspective. It's so valuable. So I wish you a good licensure exam. I wish you a good licensure process. Good
Yeah.
luck with the state board and
Hmm.
everything. And so excited to see you get to that next chapter in your career.
Thank you. Yeah, and congrats to you too, being relatively new. You just recently went through it, so you know how it is.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We're getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and to my audience, thank you so much for watching through the end. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you find these resources helpful so that you don't miss out when I post more interviews with people like Julie. Thank you so much and have a good one. I wish you the best of luck on your journey towards becoming a
Thank
therapist.
you.